Hi, my name is Jeff Carter. I serve as president of Bethany Theological Seminary, and we'll share through this video format a bit about what's happening at the seminary. I look forward to taking your questions when we're together for the Mission and Ministry Board meeting. So, what's happening at the seminary? Well, we've returned to in-person classes. Our classrooms are now open. All of our classes have a hybrid option. This is new. The entire catalog at Bethany is open to students at a distance. So we were using Zoom before the pandemic. We've intensified our use of Zoom, and we have also renovated our technology rooms. So all of our classes now have a hybrid option. We do have a number of select classes that are asynchronous, meaning you engage the material whenever you want, 24 hours a day, and respond to threads and such, and the instructors' lessons. But the vast majority of our classes now are in person with a hybrid option. We follow our golden rule practices, which means we wear masks when we're in the building. We can take the mask off when we're in our office alone, as I am right now, but we're in public spaces or when we're meeting folks, we wear masks, we social distance and wash hands. The addition of vaccinations, we have mandated vaccinations for students and for faculty. We want to create safe bubbles in our classrooms for instruction and learning. We do not have an overall vaccination mandate for employees, although our vaccination rate is 94%. We've modified our campus activities. So right now we're meeting for worship outside, and all of our common meals are boxed lunches, and then we encourage people to eat outside as the weather permits. When it rains or with weather getting colder here in Indiana, we'll move inside, social distancing for meals, and then worship in night carry will be with masks, and then we use Zoom for worship. So these three modes of worship, outside, in night carry with masks, and on Zoom, they all help illustrate creativity when it comes to meeting together as a community. And our students, prior to the pandemic, who studied via technology using hybrid Zoom, said that the transition from in-person worship to worshiping on Zoom or another platform was made easier through the lessons learned at the seminary. So we continue to have a learning laboratory as we engage modified campus activities. Students at a distance, our connection students, are invited to campus. We do ask that they are vaccinated. We are providing them free housing in the Bethany neighborhood when there is space. And so that, again, is something new, free housing for our students who are coming to campus for intensives. And that's weekend intensives, 1 week and 2 week intensives. So what's happening right now at the seminary? This is our fall 2021 dashboard. So on the left, you'll see we have 99 students, which again is an increase, and the majority of our students in the Master of Divinity, which is the Bethany Blue, 30 students. The next category, largest category, is 15 students in the Master of Arts in Theopoetics and Writing. So you'll know that we have expanded our degrees from 2, the Master of Arts and the Master of Divinity, to 4. We added the Master of Arts, Theopoetics and Writing a few years ago, and then we just recently added the Master of Arts in spiritual and social transformation, which is gaining in popularity. Then we have 5 different certificates, and 1 certificate is specific to our students in Nigeria. So that gives you the different colors within this pie graph. On the left, 99 students, total student count. On the right, our incoming class for this fall, and that was 32 students. And you'll see this is the change. So the largest category of new students is our Master of Arts in Theopoetics and Writing. This is creating a more ecumenical student body, although the majority of our students continue to be Church of the Brethren, and it shows a shift in patterns of study. Now with this incoming class, the largest group being in the Master of Arts in Theopoetics and Writing. This is giving us a larger headcount, FTE, full-time equivalent, and more credit hours. So since the printing of this chart, we've actually increased our credit hours, and we're at about 500 credit hours, which is very healthy for us. So from left to right, continue to move in an upward progression. Our head count is at 99, which is continues to be strong. And then our FTE. So what if all 99 students were taking a full-time load? How many students would that make? And that's about 60 students. So you'll see the new calculation is in green and the old calculation is in purple. We recalculated FTE to match the matriculation rate of our students, and it gave us a higher number, but we don't want to be accused of inflating our numbers. So we keep the old number and the new number together on this chart. The important thing left to right is that we continue to grow. And so 500 credit hours, 99 students, a full-time equivalent of 60. And why is that happening? It's because of the diversity of the programs. So you saw those many colors in the pie graph. Now you see this in the bar graph. Left to right, you see the numbers go down and then back up, and they're at a very high level of 99. The big change is the diversity of program. So if we stayed with the Master of Arts, the Master of Divinity, and the one certificate, the Certificate of Achievement in Theological Studies, we would be like most seminaries. We would be in decline. But because of the innovation of our teaching faculty and the new programs, 4 degrees and 5 certificates, we continue to grow. Our focus in this coming year is on the Master of Divinity because we do see less interest in the MDiv. And so we are going to place greater emphasis, one, in a curricular review to make sure we're meeting students' needs, as well as ways in which we might market the MDiv. The MDiv is still the credentialing path for folks seeking ministry in the Church of the Brethren. And we want to make sure that it is robust as well as well marketed so that folks see the diversity of our program and for serving the church to see the MDiv as the right option. But again, we're growing, and the diversity of program is one of the reasons why we're growing. So then why is Bethany flourishing when most seminaries are in decline? So in a recent issue of In Trust magazine, there's an article, How Seminaries Grow, and they gave 7 different reasons. We match 6 of the 7, and I would argue we match all 7. But let's talk about why seminaries are growing and why Bethany's growing. First, it's affordability. So with 2 generous scholarships, one an academic scholarship and the second being a church worker scholarship, we can reduce the cost of seminary education down to $1,200 a semester or $2,400 a year. If you're in the PPRS, the Pillars and Pathways Residency Scholarship Program, living in our neighborhood, working at the seminary for 12 hours a week, volunteering in the community 2 hours a week, living in our housing, then all of your expenses are covered, and we can eliminate any consumer or educational debt, which is a great selling point to students interested in seminary. And so affordability, not just low tuition, but also finding avenues to remove every stumbling block that stands in the way of a seminary a student hearing the call of God and following that call, particularly around affordability, gives us a competitive edge with other seminaries. So affordability. The second, professional admission strategies. So a number of years ago, we established a separate department for admissions and student services. So student services includes financial aid, a student director, so someone in student development, as well as then an admissions person, and then someone to oversee the whole process. We know that in undergrad, it is a 1 to 2 year process from a student showing interest to them actually enrolling. In seminary, it's a 3 to 5 year process. So it's really important for us to continue in a high touch focus of discernment with students. So constant conversation, nurturing, connection, as well as then to have the proper policies and procedures. We hired Lori Current a number of years ago, and she brought the policies and procedures from Indiana University East and a professional mind to admissions here to the seminary. And it has worked well for us. It includes not only the admissions path, but also marketing and then building a support system around our students while they matriculate through Bethany. Hopefully that builds a stronger alumni base as well. So professional admission strategies. Third, an emphasis on spiritual growth and discipleship. This has been a part of the seminary from our foundation in 1905. Our founder's vision was focused on spiritual empowerment and an education rooted in a practical experience. And so when you think about spiritual growth and discipleship, it is part of our DNA, I would say part of our spiritual heritage, and you can see it in our program, and that is with the ministry formation section of the Master of Divinity. So discerning not only path, where you're headed, but also your skills and gifts, that's part of who we are, and it's here at Bethany. Fourth, innovative program, and showed you all those colors, different programs, 4 degrees, 5 different certificates. An innovative program is a part of an active and scholarly faculty. So our faculty are, they're known throughout the world for their writing and their research, as well as their speaking. And it's in a variety of areas. Some are brand new, like theopoetics. So Scott Holland, one of the first to really delve deep into theopoetics and then to give us a degree in theopoetics and writing in partnership with ESR, that's cutting edge. And then you've got folks like Don Ottone Wilhelm, who's part of Societas Homiletica, and known globally for her preaching and her scholarship. There you have what really is core to the curriculum, practical theology, and someone who's well known. So you look at the continuum of new, innovative, cutting edge, as well as well known, core to the curriculum. We can cover all the bases, and our faculty are well known and thinking in creative ways. And they also have an ear to what's happening within their scholarly field, as well as the needs of our students, and able to put those together in the program. An engaged president, and here's a note about that. When Intrust talks about an engaged president, it's a president who's engaged in recruiting by speaking at churches and conferences, creating visibility for the seminary. So that's what I do. I'm the utility player. I speak at conferences and congregations. I meet with students in recruitment. I meet with donors in fundraising. And I just try to raise the profile of the seminary, not only throughout the denomination, but also here locally in the community. And we're doing that. And so an engaged president is a key component to a growing seminary. And then this is the seventh category. And I would argue that we fit doctrinal foundations, but not in the way that Intrust speaks about them. So when Intrust talks about doctrinal foundations, it's talking about a creed or a statement, a doctrinal statement of beliefs that someone signs off on. And we don't have that. And thanks to Dale Brown, professor of Bethany Theological Seminary, recently passed away. We remember Dale Brown in his book, Another Way of Believing, where he says we have a connectional or relational theology. It's not systematic theology. It is relational. The different pieces fit together in a particular way, which then is illustrated in the way we live. So are we without faith? No, we have a strong and abiding faith focused on Scripture, another key component in our founding, and following in the way of Jesus Christ. And so a strong faith foundation, but we do not have a creed or a doctrinal statement of belief. And so this is where we separate ways with this article from Intrust, although I would say, but we have a strong foundation of faith in the way we live, in what we preach, and in what we teach. And so it can be argued that the seventh category is or is not part of Bethany, but clearly we are faith-driven. So that's why we're flourishing right now with these marks of a growing seminary. But we have some challenges. And so let me share some of the challenges. One is the pandemic. There's a lack of denominational connection. I was just talking with David Steele, our general secretary, about how disconnected I feel personally in all the relationships I hold within the denomination. This connection with colleagues, connections with congregations, and connection with the annual conference. And so my hope and prayer is as we move out of the pandemic in the near future, that we're able to reestablish those connections. But a lack of denominational connection right now is a strain, not only personally, but also I think the ministries we carry. And I know the seminary is looking to reconnect with annual conference, congregation, and colleagues. A third challenge is the schism that we are moving through. So right now, discerning the lack of connection with the denomination, is it pandemic or is it schism? And we don't know yet. But coming out of the pandemic, hopefully we'll figure out where our relationships lie and how we rebuild, reconnect, re-engage through our relationships. So discerning right now our lack of connection, is it pandemic or is it schism? The challenge with decreased numbers and struggling congregations, who does what and how is the MMB ministry changing in ways that will impact Bethany's program and presence? Right now, we're thinking about ministry in different ways. And part of that lack of connection creates some pressure on our ways in which we share ideas and then move forward so that we can truly collaborate. And so who's doing what right now? And what do we see for our future together? And then the third is, how realistic is the calling credentialing process when districts have an ever-increasing number of churches without called leadership? So I made comment about the MDiv and why we're emphasizing the MDiv over this next year, both in a curricular review as well as marketing. We are seeing more students who are engaged in ministry, already called to congregations, seeking degrees that are not the MDiv because they want an education just in time for them to serve as professionals for the church. And so it's putting pressure on the MDiv, and I think it's going to put pressure on the credentialing process. So how realistic is the calling and credentialing process? What needs to change? And how can the seminary be a partner as we provide the education that undergirds ministry in our denomination? So kind of three questions, one on discerning, one on ministry, and the other one on the calling and credentialing process. So ice cream, what does ice cream have to do with anything? Well, it is a way of connecting. And this is from the ice cream social we had. You can see folks in the background kind of blurred out, but they're wearing masks, and we're outside eating ice cream. I'm looking forward to a time in which we can eat ice cream together. When we can be together to share about the gifts and graces of our ministries, how the church is working to meet the needs of the world, and to witness to the ministry and message of Jesus Christ, and just to be together to rebuild connection. Those two challenges I lay out, the pandemic as well as the church challenges through the schism, they can't be solved just with relationship building, but they can be helped. And so I look forward to being with you in a hybrid fashion at the MMB meeting, and then to be together, hopefully at annual conference and upcoming meetings, and as I begin to travel again, so that we can have ice cream, but more importantly, we can continue to nurture the relationship we have and the connection we keep. So blessings. Thank you for your attention. Look forward to talking with you at the MMB meeting.